we have for this live.
I know it's going to be super fun. And I think that we're going to have a lot of winners.
Yes, I love Midnight in Paris. I mean, who doesn't love Midnight in Paris? And there's so much to talk about with this movie. I actually need to rewatch it. It's been a little while since I watched it.
I've watched it so many times. I think back in the spring, I said to somebody yesterday that movie's like a warm blanket of Paris on you. But in the spring, I was like, I can't watch it. I'm too sad. But then when I watched it the other night, just to get go through the questions, and I was really watching it because I was trying to find little secret things, for the questions. And I was like, oh, I just love this movie so much.
It's such a great movie. I mean, it's a great movie. Hi, Phyllis.
Bonjour, Phyllis.
We're so happy you're here. Yeah, we're just talking about how much we love Midnight in Paris. It's a great movie. I'm not a big Woody Allen fan, honestly.
Me either.
It's a good movie. This is this is well done.
I did see that it's his top grossing movie he's ever done.
So this goes for everybody, even if they don't like Woody Allen, like they like this movie.
Yeah.
Hello, Dawn.
Hey, Dawn.
We're happy to have you here. We're going to be testing your Midnight in Paris skills tonight. How good you are at Midnight in Paris.
I thought about Dawn when I was doing all the notes for an upcoming podcast about Mary Cassatt.
What were you thinking about Dawn?
Because Dawn loves all of those painters.
That's true. Dawn is a big fan. Hi, Danielle. It's so good to have you here.
Hey, Danielle.
We love it. We're so happy to have you guys here. We love having our trivia with you. You guys are a smart bunch. It's hard to get you guys. We don't really want to get you anyway. We want you to know these things.
These are going to be some fun ones, but I mixed it up. So it was like a little bit about maybe the location.
To try to confuse you a little bit.
Mm-hmm. All in fun.
Coretta. Well, that's
a Coretta
name. I like that name, Coretta. I hope I'm saying it right. Please correct me if I'm saying it wrong.
Yeah, I know some people said that they hadn't seen the movie yet, and I was like, what?
That should be illegal. Everybody should watch this movie. Even if you don't like Woody Allen, I know we were just mentioning like maybe we're not big Woody Allen fans, but this movie, it's very well done. Mm-hmm. It's very cute. If you like Paris, you should watch this movie.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Look at the cute little statue I found downstairs in the basement the other day.
Well, oh, wait. That was just creeping around the basement.
My grandma has a lot of stuff.
Is that an angel? What is it?
No, it's like it's kind of heavy.
Oh, that is heavy. He's adorable. He looks like he should be holding it.
I know. It looks like something probably broke off, but I decided I needed him upstairs in the office.
I mean, he should be near you, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Ellen is a big fan of Midnight in Paris.
Mm-hmm.
Some people have never seen the movie. Like, that's so strange to me. Also, I feel like, has anybody seen Amélie? Like, I feel like if you like Midnight in Paris, you've seen Amélie.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know Amélie until I moved to France. I didn't know anything.
Really?
No, I didn't know anything about it. I do love the artist as well. Have you seen that movie?
Yeah.
And I just love Nom de Jardin.
Oh, so good. Yes. Amélie, Midnight in Paris, and the Da Vinci Code are like my favorite. Some of my favorite when I need to see Paris. I just put those on.
I mean, they're all great.
They're so good.
Studying. Oh my God, we have people studying. I'm so happy. Don, are you not a fan of Amélie or Da Vinci Code? Oh yeah, Amelie's kind of it's different. I feel like Midnight in Paris is lovable by all kinds of people, but Amélie is a little out there.
It is, but it's so great just to see Paris.
Yeah. And also Amelie's in French, so you have to read subtitles. Mm-hmm. Some people are not a fan of that, which is understandable.
I don't think this group is. I think this group is all for him.
Yeah. Yep, this is true. This is true. Well, we're so happy you guys are here. We're going to try to test your skills on Midnight in Paris, ask you some questions, see how much you really love the movie. But even if you know you still love the movie, that's okay. Some of these I probably wouldn't know either. But just feel free to chime in, give us your best guesses.
Hey, Carrie.
Carrie and Ellen.
Ellen, I love that show, Call My Agent. And I just saw that some of the new season will be out on the French channels in October. So I'm going to have to use my VPN for those.
I haven't seen Call My Agent.
Oh my God, it's so good.
What is it
on
about?
Netflix. It's a talent agency. And I think there's only like 6 or 8 episodes, maybe a season, but it's so good. And they've got like 3 seasons, I think now. And their office is right at the end of where the Louvre is, right off of Rue de Rivoli on the other side. So every time I walk by, I'm always like, maybe I'll spot him.
French series, or is it just based in?
It's French. It's a French show.
Good. All right. I'll call my agent.
Yes.
VPN is amazing. We all love VPN.
Yes.
Life-changing.
It is, definitely.
All right, guys. Are you ready to answer some trivia? I want you to chime in. Give your best answer. You don't have to be right. It's just about, chatting with us.
Mm-hmm.
So the first question, what artist's garden does the movie start in? So what artist's garden is the movie? Because they're starting the movie. There's a garden. Where is this garden? Which garden is it? Do we know? The opening of the movie. It's a garden by a very famous French somebody. I'm not going to give it too much away.
That's my job. I would always
give it all away. Oh, we're getting a lot of Monets. We're getting a lot of Monets.
That's so good.
We have such a smart group.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are right. Claude Monet's garden in Germany.
Yes, and he moved there on April 29th, 1883. And then he purchased a property later in 1890. And the pond, he actually made it bigger. So it's a little bit man-made. But has everybody been out there? It's amazing. It's so amazing.
It's so pretty. And I feel like right now, if you were here, it'd be the best time to go because nobody's there.
Yeah. I think the first time I went and I stood there at the lake, and I was trying to figure out views of paintings he's done, and I stood there and saw the willow tree, and I'll have to post the pictures again, but I took a picture, and it, without even trying, and it totally lined up to one of his paintings. And then you see the bridge, and you just think of like him standing there on the banks of that little pond painting,
channeling the spirits. You're channeling the spirits of Monet.
Yes, dying.
I love it. I took my parents there when they came to France for the first time, and my dad was telling everybody we went to Germany. We're actually still in France. It was Germany, not Germany, but we love you, Dad. She named her rescue kitty after Claude. I love that.
Yeah.
That's very cute.
It's really hard for me to type the word like the name Claude because I just start typing it Claudine. It's such a word that you just don't see very often, and so that I always have to back up.
That you are the female Claude. You're Claudine.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I about that. I like that. I like you even more now, as if that was possible.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to let Claudine read the next question for you guys.
What historic restaurant do they have dinner at in the Palais Royal?
I don't know this one. I know that I was walking by the Palais Royal. This was pre-COVID, and there was these beautiful smells coming out. And I was like, I just need to go in there and have lunch. So I went in to this restaurant right at the Palais Royal, and I didn't realize it was a fancy restaurant. Mm-hmm. Those restaurants where you have to have the palate cleanser, and each thing is very fancy looking and small and well done and tastes delicious, but very small. And I was trying to have a work call, and these poor people are trying to serve me and tell me things. And I'm just like, no, just bring me food. I don't care. You don't have to tell me. But it was the best meal I've ever had. And I'm wondering if it was the same restaurant, actually.
Sounds like it. Yeah.
Carrie Park. Let's see. She's got a guess. I like her guess. Don's got a guess. Hotel Maurice. Boney, know the restaurant. Don't know the restaurant. I was like, what is Boney? Never heard of that one. The Hotel Maurice does have an amazing restaurant inside. The ceiling of the Hotel Maurice is absolutely stunning. That fresco painted on the ceiling. And what is the name of the restaurant in the Hotel Maurice? It's so beautiful.
I'm not sure.
It could just be Le Maurice or something.
Yeah.
You should just go in there and have a drink, or just walk through and go to the bathroom, because it's the most beautiful place I've ever seen in Paris. The roof is the ceiling is gorgeous. That was the wine tasting. All right. Well, Phyllis, you are our winner, genius.
Phyllis and Carrie. It was Le Grand Veilleur. And it's one of the oldest restaurants in Paris. It was opened in 1784, and it was then known as Café des Chartres. And it little has changed since it was first initially opened, and it has this beautiful Louis XVI style ceilings and everything. And the first scene in the movie when they have dinner with his or her parents, that's where they are. But it's pretty amazing. I actually went there on my very first trip because I had multiple people that told me I had to go there. And so that's the one. It's in Palais Royal. And if you listen to the Colette podcast, that is where she used to be carried down later in her later years when she couldn't walk. They would literally carry her down on a chair and put her in there. And Julia Child ate there. It said that Napoleon proposed to Josephine there. It is very expensive. So that's why I went for lunch. It's very expensive, but it probably literally was one of the best meals I've ever eaten in my life. And when I walked in, and because I knew that on the backs of all of the banquettes, they have little plaques of who used to sit there. And so I was just like, who am I going to, I was outside. I was like, what seat do I get to sit at? And they set me at Colette's seat, which I just thought was amazing because, she wrote the book Claudine. And I thought, oh, how perfect is this? And it was like 3.5 hour lunch. And
they keep bringing you things. They're very professional, and the food is delicious. And they gave me dessert for free, which I was very much a fan of.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So the restaurant was the Grand Veilleur. I'm going to send you it in the chat right now so that you can see how it's spelled. So you can go there one day because it's a must visit. Go for lunch. Lunch is
go for lunch. I mean, it's a good couple $100 for lunch for two people. But when I was there, there was two gentlemen sitting at a table kind of next to us in the Napoleon and Josephine seats. And they brought out this bottle of wine to them. And it was towards the end of their meal. And it was just in the bottle, and it was just golden yellow. And you could tell it was really old because they were being really careful. They were trying to open it, and they were being really, really careful. And I just kept watching. And so they poured it for him. And it was a Sauterne. And I kept looking over there, and the gentleman was like, would you like a taste? And I was like, oh, no, merci, no, merci. And my friend was like, what are you doing? Say yes. And they ended up giving us, they poured some, and they gave us 2 little glasses of it. And it was literally like drinking gold. And the bottle, I think, was a couple $100.
And what was it called again?
It was Sauterne. So it was is that sweet dessert wine, but it was pretty amazing.
I love when people are sharing wine with me. I think that's the best gift you can give.
Yeah. Well, that's not something two people are going to sit down and drink a bottle of anyway. You probably have a diabetic coma.
Yeah. Not a good idea.
Not a good idea.
All right, guys. Our next question was, who was the mistress and the muse of Rodin? So do we know who the mistress and the muse of Rodin was? And he comes up in the movie. Does he come up in the movie, Rodin?
Yeah.
Because he's the museum. They go to the museum looking at the thinking man. I remember that part.
Yes.
So the mistress and the muse of Rodin. This is kind of a hard one, guys. Do you have any idea? I mean, they all had a lot of mistresses, a lot of muses, which I kind of feel like was one and the same thing, wasn't it?
Yes, and this is very specific. And there's the scene in the movie. It's kind of funny because the one character gets he is convinced that that she was the wife, and Gil was like, no, I read a 2-volume biography about Rodin, and in fact, no, that wasn't the wife. She was his mistress.
It might have slipped out, guys.
I started to say it. See, I'm the worst.
We're so excited. It actually was Camille Claudel.
Camille Claudel. I like Claudette. Good. I like that word, Dawn. It was Camille Claudel, and I tried to actually find some of these things that'll tie back to future episodes that we've recorded that'll be released later, and we have a really fantastic episode about Camille Claudel, which is really, she had a very interesting life. But yeah, Camille Claudel was the muse and his mistress, and also she assisted him in quite a few quite a few of the sculptures that he did too. But, of course, she didn't really get the credit for it.
As all the women did not.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Danielle's quoting the movie. Why would I read a bio on Rodin?
So good.
Right, I'm going to let Claudine read our next question.
All right. This is going to be tricky. Who is a church dedicated to that Gil sits on the steps? The steps that he sits on. Who is that church dedicated to? Not necessarily the name of the church, but who it's dedicated to.
Does it come up in the movie, or should we just know this?
I don't think it comes up in the movie, no.
This is like your super genius.
Mm-hmm.
If you know who this church is dedicated. Yeah. This is the church where he's hanging out, where he gets the midnight ride all the time. This church is dedicated to a special someone. Phyllis says Genevieve. It's a great name, by the way. That was supposed to be my sister's name.
Oh.
Stephen, depending on what country you're in. I like these guesses. We got 4 X's. Saint-Étienne, Sermon, Saint-Geneviève. Look at Carrie go.
Yeah, and if I think Carol's in here, and maybe some other people have given it to her too. I usually take them inside and show them all this too.
Oh, so we have to see if they were paying attention during the tour.
Mm-hmm.
Who was sleeping on Claudine's tour? Mary, not a bad guess. I mean, there's a lot of dedication to Mary in churches.
Mm-hmm.
Mother Mary. That's the thing I love about history tours is like it's very in the moment because you learn all this great information and then I forget it the next day. I'm so bad about that. If you are Claudine, you remember all this stuff and over and over again.
I love it. It is Carrie. It's the only one left in Paris.
I've never actually gone inside that church.
Oh, you haven't? Oh, I'll take you in there.
A rood screen. Is that like where you'd make the confession?
No, the rood screen is when you go inside that church is this amazing screen basically, and it's basically just goes over where the altar is, and it goes all the way across the church basically, and it's actually cut and sculpted from one piece of marble. And it's huge, but they used to be all over France and in churches. And there was even one in Notre Dame like that, but they were all removed partially because they thought it kept people too far away from the choir and the altar. So they tried to take this one down that was in this church, and they everybody got upset and said, told them they couldn't take it down. So it is the only one left.
I need to go. Phyllis is right. I walk by it all the time when I'm at Hotel de Ville, but I never go inside.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So who was right, Claudine?
So it is Saint-Geneviève. And the church is Saint-Étienne-du-Mont, but the church is, in fact, inside is dedicated to Saint-Geneviève, who is the patron saint of Paris, who saved Paris from Attila the Hun by gathering all the people together and praying. And Attila the Hun went somewhere else and destroyed that place. So, but she originally, the Pantheon was actually the church dedicated to Saint-Geneviève. And then they decided to move that. And then, of course, everything with the revolution happened. And so, it turned into the chapel dedicated to great men and now women. But so they moved everything over to Saint-Étienne-du-Mont. And if you go in there, there's because she was basically, in the revolution, they had found her and, destroyed her. So there's this gorgeous gold brass sarcophagus like thing, and inside of it has the piece of stone that they say that she had laid on. And so they have that there. And then they have a few relics that at the time before the revolution had been sent out to other churches in France. And so they had them bring them back. So there are some relics to her, but the really gorgeous thing are the stained glass windows above there. And the stained glass windows tell her story.
Oh, I have to go. The stained glass.
It's pretty amazing.
I feel like it's one of those, I mean, there's so many things in Paris that people never visit because there's like the well-knowns like Notre Dame and
Yes.
but there's so many places like that.
It's
Even
such a
my
beautiful.
son lived here for 8 years and I've never gone inside.
Yeah, and it's really bright. Like there's a lot of like some churches you go in, they're just dark all the time. And this one has a lot of light coming in. It's really pretty.
It's so Gothic.
It is opened weird times. I mean, they will close it. You know, they won't let you walk around if there's mass going on. But I've gone through many. I mean, when I take tours, I'm like, well, you know, let's see if it's open. And so there's been times that it's not. So
it's very random. Like
yeah, it's very random.
Yeah. All right, guys. Who is the first person he meets from the past? So the first person Gil meets from the past, correct?
The first, our first character from history.
Yeah, in the movie. So who are your guesses? He goes into history, and who is the first person he meets? How well do you remember the movie? It's kind of tough, actually. Do you know what the carved stairwell was called?
Claudine? I think they're called a Jude screen. Jude screen. Jude. I think it's Jude screen.
I have no idea. So your guess is as good as mine. All right, we got some Zeldas coming through. I can see who the big movie buffs are.
I did. When I was watching this again the other day for probably the 4 millionth time. I did notice when they pick him up at Saint Etienne, one of the French women that's in the car is this redhead that was in that show I loved, the French Village.
Oh, she's one of the characters.
Yeah. So I was like, oh my gosh, that's her. So.
Oh, that's interesting. I have to watch it a million times too.
Yeah.
Go back and watch it. All right, so we have a lot of Zeldas. We have James Joyce as well from Curtis. Anybody else got some guesses for us? The first person he meets from the past. He jumps in that little car. I mean, what a great movie.
Rude Screen, yeah. But it's also like in French, it's something that begins with a J. I'll check.
All right. Well, I think we have our winners. Zelda is the first person he meets on his journey back in time.
It is our girl Zelda. They're at a party, and she walks up to him and starts talking to him, and then she's like, "Oh, this is my husband Scott." He's like, "What?" Like Zelda and Scott, you have the same names. But it is Woody Allen definitely with this movie. He kind of took a whole amalgamation of people and their character in real life and put it all together. Like it's not really, they don't say it's a specific year and there's a lot of things. So they took a lot of, the personas of people that we know of and think of today and use those, so Zelda's definitely, the party girl and wants to go to, Saint Germain and go drinking.
I really liked how they portrayed everybody, even if it is like maybe not completely accurate.
Yeah.
I would imagine each character that did a good job.
They did an amazing job with that.
I like that Ellen said the car driver, which could be the first person they met in history.
Technically correct.
Correct. All right, Claudine, you have the next one.
Who was playing the piano at the party?
This is something I wasn't even really paying attention to.
And he kind of comes up later. He comes up a couple times during the movie.
So who was playing the piano, guys?
Oh, yeah. Audrey Florent. Yeah.
Oh, what is that show? Engranger.
She's also in that the other Netflix. It's a French show, Bonfire. I might be saying that right. Bonfire, the Vanities one, which actually there's not a character from the show, but there's a woman that was involved in that we're definitely going to do a podcast episode about because I just started completely nerding out about her.
I feel like there's so many people to talk about in French history.
Mm-hmm.
I love that Carrie knows who this woman is. All right, so we got a lot of Cole Porters. So Coretta, Carrie, Phyllis, Don, you guys are correct.
So good. Yes, it was Cole Porter. And in 1917, he actually moved to Paris to serve in the French Foreign Legion. So he was in Paris. He lived there until 1923 before he left to go to Venice and then came back to the U.S. But he comes up a couple times because, then he's at Saint-Ouen, Bonfire of Destiny. That's it. He's at Saint-Ouen and he hears it, the little antique dealer is playing it. And he's like, oh, I met him the other day.
It's just all so well done. I love it.
It's so well done.
I met him the other day.
Yeah.
All right. So who was the party for? Is this when Zelda asked him if he wants to come to a party? Is that at the Carousel Museum? Is that
No, this is at the first party.
The first party.
This is kind of hard. I don't know if I actually paid attention to that really before until I was going through coming up with questions.
All right, guys. So who was the first party for that they go to? That's a good question. This is not something I would know. We have some smart people in this group.
I love it.
Yeah. Why is everybody so good? Phyllis got me too. I wouldn't know this. Mary, Dawn, you smarties.
It was Jean Cocteau. You guys are so smart. Yeah, Jean Cocteau, it's funny. He constantly comes up in a lot of people's history as, the friend and the side player, but whether it's Picasso or Colette, lots and Edith Piaf, all of these different people that he was friends with, but he was a playwright. He was a designer. He actually would design sets and stuff for ballets and operas. He's done quite a bit, but I don't know if honestly you see him in the movie.
Yeah.
I don't know if there was actually a character that was him, but they say, the party was for Jean Cocteau.
That's so good. Like, that's a hard one.
Yeah.
You guys are so smart.
And he died. He was close with Edith Piaf. He lived those, the later years of his life at the Palais Royal, where Colette also lived. And so they were very good friends. But when Edith Piaf died and they were very good friends, the next day, when he saw that she had died, he died 6 hours after that. As soon as he saw that she died, he died.
They were really close. So he was also a poet, apparently.
Yeah.
I love the poems. I need to read some of his poems. Very interesting.
And there's actually a restaurant at the top of Rue de l'Odéon, my favorite street. I think it's called Le Méditerranée, and it's actually there. He drew on, I think, the menu. He drew like a face and like the sea, and they still use that today as their logo on everything.
Great trivia. Remember this, guys. I'm gonna forget. Remind me later. All right, Claudine, what's our next question?
What lovely dancer did Gil see wearing a lot more clothes than she normally did?
So he saw a dancer and she was wearing more clothes than normal. I guess the movie was rated PG-13.
Yes.
Wearing more clothes than normal. This is someone who obviously was pretty naked normally, but he saw more clothes on in the movie. Who do we think, guys? Carrie says Josephine Baker. Dawn says Josephine Baker. Jennifer, Josephine Baker. You guys are good. Phyllis, Coretta, Ellen. I think it's unanimous on this one.
Everybody. Yep. Josephine Baker, who came to Paris in 1925 and is leaving the U.S. behind. And she came in 1925 and basically was a star from the moment she got here. And she's famously known for wearing and dancing in that skirt made of bananas.
Those are some of my favorite photos of her. Her little banana skirt, just rocking it.
Yeah. I love it. We did a podcast about her too, which is really fun.
Yeah, I can't wait to share that one. Fascinating woman. I love how she embraced France. France embraced her, actually. And like she was so much more famous and loved here than in America, even though she was American.
Yeah, and she was really involved in civil rights, and she was also she was kind of worked a little bit as a spy, being on stage in these clubs, and she'd overhear, these German and the other collaborators, and then she would write little notes down and put them in her underwear.
Everyone does. All right, guys. Next question: where did Gil meet Hemingway for the first time? Anybody have any idea where our main character met Hemingway for the first time? Were you paying attention? Claudine has all the best info.
Aw, thank you. I love all of the little tidbits.
Dawn, look at Dawn go. I don't know how you guys remember this stuff. You guys are really good.
I think we've all watched that movie 1,000 times.
This is true. But to remember the things, I mean, I can't even remember what I had for breakfast this morning.
Well, I can't remember that half the time of the day of the week, but I remember everything else.
Yeah, Tuesday in 1893.
Exactly.
All right, guys, you're some good guessers.
It was the Polydor. It was a Polydor, which is it's actually really cool. They used like the facade of the restaurant and they kept the name on it as well. And you know, you could go there now. The restaurant dates back to 1845, and it's very little has changed inside of it. You might know next time you go there. At one point, they used to have they have it there, but a lot of restaurants in France would have a little drawer with like your name or a number on it, because that's where you'd put your napkin, because they were worried about, you know, other people using their napkins. So I'm wondering if these napkins got cleaned in between times that they were there. But there is a cupboard there in the Polydor that has all the little numbers on it, and that was used to be to hold people's napkins.
Oh, that's so cool. You had like your own little napkin save.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's I've gone. It's in the 6. It's really close to Odeon, and I've been there twice. And some people rave about it, but I've been there twice, and it's really fun to go to because it was in the movie and the history that's there. But I wouldn't plan on having a really fancy, delicious meal there. And they only take cash. Always remember that. They only take cash.
That's kind of surprising in today's world.
Yeah. Yes.
Someone's not paying their taxes. Oh, there's a question for you, Claudine. Did Hemingway and Cottu were good friends? Do we know if they were friends?
I don't know if they were good friends. I know that they all traveled around in the same circle, but I don't think I've ever read a whole lot. I haven't really come across a whole lot of them, hanging out. I think Cocteau was probably a little bit older than them.
Mm-hmm. Hemingway was in his youth having fun partying his butt off.
Yeah. And they definitely, especially for his character, they really tied together, the mystique of Hemingway into that, into his character. There's the part that Gertrude Stein says, oh, he just left for Africa. Well, he didn't go to Africa till the 1930s, 1935. He hadn't been there yet. So they definitely took a lot of the ideas that we have of people. And, the actor that played Hemingway was just amazing. He's so good. Yeah. But the way he talks is how you would imagine because of how he wrote. But if you listen to, there's a few times you could find a recording where he is talking about the Nobel Prize, because he was awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature, and he didn't want to go, or he couldn't go. And if you listen to his voice, it doesn't sound like the guy, in the movie. The guy in the movie is how you would imagine he sounds from reading his writing.
Yeah, so manly.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Oh, all the things. All right, guys. So in the movie, who painted Gertrude Stein? Do you remember who painted Gertrude Stein? I think this is one I could actually know, even though I can see the answers. I think I actually know the answer to this one. So in the movie Midnight in Paris, who painted Gertrude Stein? Fascinating woman as well. We have an upcoming podcast coming out about Gertrude Stein.
Actually, it's next week.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. Tomorrow is Catherine de Medici.
Catherine Medici.
Woman that liked witchcraft.
All right, so we got some Picassos coming in. Phyllis, Curtis, Carrie, Don. All right, you guys, I think it's pretty unanimous. You are correct. It was Picasso. I love his character in the movie. So funny.
Yeah, he was. It was done by Picasso, and it was kind of early on when she and her brother Leo kind of found him through an art gallery director, and so they went to see Picasso. And she at first didn't really like his paintings, and there was one painting of his that they bought that she would. I think she does it she might do it in the, oh, maybe it's something else, but she didn't like the way he did feet. So she would put something in front of it. And one time she said she actually wanted to cut it down. But then they ended up becoming friends, and he wanted to paint her. So she sat for him for months and months and months, and he would paint a little and he didn't like it and he'd start over again. And in the very end, the painting, when he showed it to her, she was like, oh, okay. And everybody said, well, it doesn't look like her. And he said, it will. And it does. Now, if you look at what the Gertrude Stein that we know and you look at it, you're like, oh, yeah, that looks like Gertrude Stein. But they do. They have a copy of it in the movie. It's kind of always sitting behind her on the wall.
So he kind of saw the future of what she was going to look like.
Yeah, I think so. Well, he always kind of did things a little bit differently anyway.
All right. Is there any of the books where we can find details on the Hemingways from this period?
Well, I mean, Movable Feast is such a great book, and then it's also in his words. But another really great thing to do is get the books that were done by Cambridge of his letters. And I think just the 5th edition, it just came out recently. And I guess the plan is to have like 14 or 15. And these books are super thick. And the amount of work that the people that worked on them did is just astounding. They basically take all of his letters. They even go and do research of where, of things he says in the letter. It's really fascinating. And for me, there's so many books out there about Hemingway that get everything wrong, or they have the wrong addresses and they have the wrong information. So, as soon as I see that in a book, I'm like, that's not the right date. And I'm like, I can't even, that basically negates the entire book for me. But yeah, Curtis, the Michael Reynolds books are amazing too. And he did quite a few of them. The one about the Paris years, that I would definitely say he's probably one of the most accurate, or he has the best info. Mm-hmm. Michael Reynolds has. Those books are great.
Read Michael Reynolds if you want the truth.
Yes. And Curtis is working on a book too, I believe.
Oh, about Hemingway?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right, guys, get ready to read Curtis de Burgh. I'm going to say it the French way. My mother was a Debard. All right. Yes. He said, he's great, but he's no Miro. In the movie Midnight in Paris, who said, he's great, but he's no Miro? Do we know who said this? I love your guesses. I feel like everyone is so prepared for these questions. They are right on target. Everyone's basically right all the time.
I know. How many people watched it last night?
You guys have prepped really well for this trivia.
And we're so glad there's so many people here, considering it's a holiday weekend in the States.
Yeah. Barbecuing.
We shouldn't be going anywhere anyway, I guess.
COVID life. All right, guys. So who said he's great, but he's no Miro? Don says Hemingway. Ellen says Salvador Dali. Any other guesses out there for who said that? Carrie says Hemingway. Evan Shipman. Curtis says. Danielle says we. He's great, but he's no Miro. This is one I actually might know. Once again, even if I have the answers in front of me. So whoever said Hemingway, you are correct.
That's right. When he first got to know Gertrude Stein, she, famously told him, don't buy clothing and don't spend your money on stuff, buy art. And, she said, look to your contemporaries because, they didn't have a whole lot of money. And so he later discovered Miro, and he loved his paintings. And he had this one specific painting called The Farm. And he fell in love with this painting and he wanted it. And he basically had it on layaway and kept going in there and paying a little bit. A friend of his went in there and decided he wanted it and was going to pay more. And, Hemingway was really upset because he wanted to get it and give it to Hadley for her birthday. So his friend actually said, it's like, oh no, you could have it. And Hemingway paid him. So he brought the painting home and he gave it to Hadley for her birthday. But the history of the painting later on is a pretty interesting one, and I've been doing a lot of research specifically about it, and I'm gonna write something up about it. But it ends up becoming a huge thing after he dies, where the evil Mary, his fourth wife, I won't hold back, had basically, they had letters that, where Hemingway said, I'm going to borrow it and take it down to Cuba. And then you could have it back in 6 months. And Hadley, he and Hadley were still very close and on very good terms throughout the rest of his life. And she said, okay, fine. And then he died. And the painting was still down there in Cuba. And so they were trying to get it back. The whole story of getting it back is pretty crazy too. But then later, when they said that they found the letter, Mary had the letter destroyed. And then there was a whole big thing with she loaned it to a museum in New York to show it. And then it was held there. And Hadley, they got lawyers. So there was a whole big thing. And in the end, Hadley just basically walked away from it.
Drama.
Mm-hmm. But it was Hadley's painting, An Evil Mary.
I mean, Mary, guys, there's no books really about Mary. There's a lot of books about his other wives, but we just know Mary was evil. I don't care. I think, I don't know. I these days I put Mary above Pauline even. What she did to his writing in Movable Feast. If you read the restored edition that actually has like the copies of his original intention, how she made it look that he was even worse about Fitzgerald than he really was. And a lot of people, that's what their takeaways from Movable Feast is saying, how, he was so horrible to Fitzgerald. Well, he wasn't that horrible in his original intention. It was Mary and the editor that kind of changed things. Yeah, they changed the whole history.
Yeah,
Larry did it at the farm. Look at that. It was in the gallery in Buffalo. Very cool.
Yeah. I'll have to do a whole TED talk about Mary and the farm.
TED talk about Mary. TED talks are usually about like people and talking about why not?
Uplifting things, and I'll be like, and then Mary.
All right, guys, we done. So here's a good one for you. What artist gave his monumental grand projet and helped design the room in which they are displayed? So this is an artist. He gave a monumental grand project. He helped design the room in which his artwork is displayed. Do you know the artist and where it is displayed? Is this in the movie?
They go there in the movie.
They go there in the movie. All right, guys. So an artist gave a monumental grand project. He basically donated the art, it sounds like. Mm-hmm. And he helped design the room in which the art is displayed.
Yeah, Danielle, me and Brené Brown.
Brené Brown.
I love her.
Who does not love Brené Brown? She's very lovable. Don says Monet at the Orangerie. Orangerie. Phyllis says Monet. We are just full of smart people. Carrie, Monet, Water Lilies, Cindy, Monet, Orangerie. Good job, guys.
It was.
You know it.
It was Monet. His good friend Clemenceau convinced him that this time it was, this is when Monet was really having a lot of eyesight issues. And that's why he actually kept painting the water lilies, is because he was painting something that he knew. And his cataracts were getting so bad that it was really hard for him to see, specific details. So that's kind of why he kept painting the same things over and over. So he made these huge, big, and he called them the grand decoration. And he was painting them, and Clemenceau was trying to tell him, you should donate these. So in 1914, he convinced him to, do this. And so he worked on it for years. And then on the November 11th, 1918, the end of World War I, he ended up donating and giving them to the state. So he did those huge, there's 8 of them. There's the water lilies, and then there's the willow trees. And he actually worked with the designers for the shape of the room specifically how they would be, how they would fit, how they would be designed, how the light would hit them. And if you do definitely go different times of the day, because they actually kind of take on a whole different look. If you go early in the morning with the sun's coming in, or if you go later in the afternoon when it's darker, it's pretty interesting.
Oh, I never knew that. Different times of day, the light changes. Very cool. Because it's in a room with no windows.
It's just on at the above. There's like skylights.
Okay, yeah, the skylights. You're right.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. So, what was the name of the first lady of France that appeared in the movie as a tour guide? This is so funny. I love like all these little details. So she was formerly a first lady of France, and she appeared in the movie Midnight in Paris as a tour guide.
3 times.
3 times she was in there.
She was in there 3 times.
I didn't even notice that. All right, guys. Any guesses for our first lady in the movie? Mary says Carla Bruni. Singer, good guess, Cindy. Yeah. Just like the woman who sings.
That is correct.
You guys are right. It was Carla Bruni.
It was Carla Bruni. She's a singer, and she was a model. She ended up marrying Nicolas Sarkozy after he had already become president. And I think it was, I think if that happened here, is probably be quite scandalous. It seemed to be much of a big deal there. But she is a singer. I love her music, and I created a Bleu Blanc Rouge playlist on Spotify, and I've listed it. I think I actually have it in my bio on my Instagram, but I have quite a few of her songs in it too, because I just absolutely love them.
Oh, I want to listen to your playlist.
Mm-hmm. Carla Bruni.
Such a pretty woman. Mm-hmm. All right. Who were the 3 surrealists Gil meets? So there was 3 surrealist artists that he meets. Basically the most famous ones. Can you name all 3 that he meets in the movie? There you are. Surrealist painters. Artists. You know all 3, you are good. Because the last one I don't think I would be able to name. First 2, obvious. One of them has a museum in Montmartre, which I am not impressed with at all. If you really want to see his art, you have to go to Spain.
Yes. Or you could spot his sundial that he created that's up near the Pantheon on the side of a building.
Oh, there's a sundial by him?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a I think it's on Rue Saint-Jacques, and it's or Boulevard Saint-Jacques, whichever that is. And it's like a the top of it looks like a scallop, like the Saint-Jacques.
Oh, that's cool. I have to check that out. Look at you guys go. Well, everyone's got Dali on the list, for sure. You are all right about Dali. Man Ray, yes. And then we have Larry and Don, who got our last one. Louis Brunel.
Louis Brunel, yeah, he's the one that I think he's the one that made the movie of basically slicing into an eyeball.
Ooh,
I can't watch it. I can't. I can do it. But yeah, the surrealists started kind of in the 1920s in Paris, and there was a whole group. And Dali is kind of the one that's the I think the leader of the group. He's the one that everybody knows. But it was Guillaume Apollinaire, who was a good friend of Picasso, until he let him go to jail for thinking he stole Mona Lisa. But Apollinaire was also an art critic, and he actually coined the phrase surrealism.
Oh, I didn't know he was the one that coined it.
Yeah.
I like that. All right, guys. You are some good guessers. I love this. So many great guesses. You're all right. So, which bridge does Gil walk under in the photo used for the poster of the movie Midnight in Paris? So we all know the famous poster. He's walking along the river, and there is a bridge behind him. What bridge was it? Can you name the bridge that he's walking by in the poster for Midnight in Paris? This is a good one. Do they actually show this scene in the movie? I think it's only the poster.
Yeah, no, in the movie they do, because it goes so like the camera changes so it's behind him and you see him heading towards.
Okay. So it actually is in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys. Ellen says Pont Neuf. Anybody else have some guesses? Phyllis says Pont Neuf. You guys are some good guessers. Carrie, too. Carrie's been getting a lot of them. We have some big Midnight in Paris fans here. You guys are correct. It was Pont Neuf.
Pont Neuf. The new bridge is actually the oldest bridge. It's always the funniest little thing. But yeah, he walks under Pont Neuf and he's on the south side of Ile de la Cité. And you see him go underneath that. And I've walked down there so many times and I always have my own, Gil moment. I'm like, oh, I'm just like Midnight in Paris.
I am Gil.
Yes.
I love it. All right, guys. What is the name of the fun shop filled with taxidermy animals? Do you remember the taxidermy animal shop name?
He goes there to meet Adriana. And but right before that, Gertrude Stein tells him where she is and says the name.
Mm-hmm. So the name of the taxidermy shop.
It's a really fun place to go to. It's very interesting. They taxidermy animals, but then they taxidermy like it'll be a small like coyote or something, and then it has like swan wings on it or
yeah, weird stuff happening.
Mm-hmm. And then they have signs everywhere saying don't take photos, but it's really easy and sneaky these days.
Everybody takes photos. Look at these guys. They know it's actually hard to spell, but it looks like you're all getting it right. So
yeah,
they roll.
Yeah, it's really cool store. It's on Rue de Bac, and it's not that far off from the river. It's definitely a really neat place to go check out sometime. It's very interesting.
Yeah, definitely check that out on your next trip. And Ellen spelled it right.
Yeah, I don't know if that's something you want to, grab a keepsake to take home with you, because I think things in there are very expensive. But in case you needed a stuffed, giraffe.
Yeah, anybody can go in and walk around and check
the store.
They don't know if you have money or not, Cheryl. It's okay.
Yeah, it's just a store, so you could go in there, just be sneaky about photos. But once you walk up, there's different floors. There's nobody really there watching you.
Yeah, it's fine. Go in, check things out.
Oh yeah, the insects, they have like drawers and drawers and drawers you could pull out and see like butterflies and all these things. It's really interesting.
It's a cool store.
It's a good thing to take a kid into. Just don't let them touch anything.
That's a rainy day visit.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. What is Adriana's favorite period of time in the movie? Do you remember the favorite period of time for Adriana? We all want to live in a different time period than the one we're in usually.
Yeah, he does say that, he says that, that's interesting when he says that. He says, yeah, but if you go and you stay here, then you're going to want to go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. We're never satisfied.
No.
Look at you guys go.
You guys are so good.
Phyllis, Carrie, Dawn.
No stumping them.
You guys are right. The belly poke.
The belly poke. Yes. So they remember they were sitting out in Place Dauphine, and then the carriage with horses pulls up and takes them. First they go to Maxime's, and then they go to the Moulin Rouge, where they get to see Toulouse-Lautrec, which was awesome, and Gauguin and Degas. And I think he leaves her there, because at the end of it, she says, they said, oh, you should design, these clothes for this ballet. And she was like, oh. And then she kisses him goodbye, and I think she just stayed there.
I mean, why not?
Yeah, but I love when she was like, "C'est l'âge d'or, c'est l'âge d'or. It's the golden age."
I love it. The belly poke. All right, guys. What bridge does Gil walk over in the final scene of the movie? Do you remember what the final scene of the movie was? What bridge is he walking over? It's the most beautiful bridge in Paris. That should give away right there.
So beautiful. When he ditched that horrible Inez.
Yeah, the worst.
She was pretty horrible in the movie.
Yeah, she did a good job of playing a crappy
Yes.
person in the movie.
And how could she not like Paris? He's doing sappy things.
I love her Wedding Crasher.
I did love it when he gets into the car with Hemingway and he was like, "Have you ever known a good woman?" And he's like, "My wife is pretty sexy." And every time he says it, it just cracks me up. Pretty sexy.
I can't fool you guys. Everyone is correct. Alexander Trois.
The Pont Alexander Trois. It definitely is one of the most beautiful buildings. It was our bridges. It was built in 1900 and it was kind of built as devoted to the Franco-Russian friendship. And it was the Tsar Alexander, I think it was like his son. He actually ended up laying the first stone on there. But it is really interesting when you go on the bridge and you look down, you see the nymphs that are down, kind of in the center. But on the side facing west towards Notre Dame, that is dedicated to Russia, and they have the Russian coat of arms. And on the other side facing the Eiffel Tower it's dedicated to Paris, and it has the crest of Paris in there.
Very cool. I'm going to take a closer look.
Yeah, this is why you should definitely do like one of the Bateau Mouche. I'm obsessed with the bridges, so I've had to do that a few times just so you can really get a different view of them and get to go underneath them and see all that. But it's also a great thing to do on a hot day.
Yeah, I love the boat rides. It's just a different view of Paris, and it's not that expensive. It's like 15 euros or something.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right, guys, and the last questions are for you. So, do you have a favorite time in Paris if you could travel back to? Very midnight inspired. Was there a favorite time period you wish you could experience in Paris?
I don't even know if I could answer that.
Yeah.
I think I'd want pieces. I think I'd want to just be able to pop into all of them.
You just want it all.
I'd want to go to Versailles, maybe, see Marie Antoinette. Maybe I could change history. I could stop her from being killed.
I know that I definitely wouldn't want to be here for World War I or II.
No.
The Nazi occupation does not sound fun.
No. But after that, the 20s.
The Roaring 20s, very fun. Yeah, I think we'd be jumping all over history. Danielle was wondering if there was a connection to Pope Alexander III.
I don't think so, because it was for Tsar Alexander III.
I love Danielle and Phyllis are living in the now. They just want to go now.
Yes, I know.
1920s. I'm with the 1920s people.
Mm-hmm.
Impressionism, definitely done. Very interesting. Linda does not like Owen Wilson. He's all right. I like his nose. He's got a fun nose.
He does, yeah.
Yes, hang out with Hemingway, Fitzgerald, and Picasso. I'm all about that. And do you have a favorite scene from the movie? We have a favorite, 1920s, definitely. What is your favorite scene? We want to know your favorite scene from the movie. For me, I kind of like when he first meets Hemingway. I just think that character's done so well. Like he's very funny.
It's so great.
Yeah,
and they've moved things around in there. So if you go in there, like they moved the things that are hanging on the wall, they added things. Where he's sitting, I mean, you obviously see the wall, but the tables are different in the actual restaurant than it was in the scene. They probably should have just like left one, and then you could go sit there,
I like that. Yeah, I could really relive it. Yes. I agree with Curtis. I really like the Hemingway scene.
Yeah,
it's Hemingway. Opening scene, 7 Minutes of Heaven. That's true. They do a great job of just giving you some beautiful Paris B-roll.
It's so good. And I love how it goes from being like a nice day into rain, because the whole, that's kind of his whole thing of, in the movie, the recurring tie about being able to walk in the rain in Paris. And then when they do show in the rain, they do show Odeon, and I'm always like, oh. Yeah, the intro is really well done. I think that's true. The flea market scene is fun as well. Yeah, I there's a bunch of the Midnight in Paris songs that are on my playlist too, because you have to.
Well, we got a playlist. I want to listen to it. You can find it on your website.
It's on it's just Spotify. If you look up Bleu Blanc Rouge, so the French way, BLEU, Blanc Rouge, you should be able to find it pretty easily. Or my Instagram bio, it's linked in there too.
You should comment it on here too.
Yeah. I'll post a link to it when we're done.
Yeah, I love it. Well, guys, we're so happy you joined us today, tonight, the morning, whatever day time it is for you right now. Thank you for being here and chatting with us. We really appreciate you. And I think we all share a love of Paris, and especially in Paris, but more so Paris maybe. And we're waiting to be able to travel again. I'm here waiting for people to come here because I'm a little lonely without tourists. I need tourists. A big part of my job. One day soon, I hope, guys. But who are we talking about next? What's another 2 weeks?
Oh, I'm not sure. I hadn't thought about it yet. I'll think about it and we'll post it tomorrow. I'll post it tomorrow.
We'll think about our next live chat and get back to you guys. Tonight, you should just watch Midnight in Paris and really think about all the fun trivia you just learned.
Yeah. You can spot out different things too. And if you do spot something out differently, let us know too.
Yeah,
some fun little thing.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Phyllis, my COVID wedding. Danielle, thank you so much for coming. We love chatting with you guys, and please keep the questions and comments coming. We're here to answer them, and we love talking to you. So we will see you.
So much fun.
And you can always listen to the podcast to learn more about all these characters. Every Monday, I chat with Claudine about Paris history, Avec, Hemingway, and you'll learn about fascinating French women in French history.
Yeah, and like we said, tomorrow's Catherine de Medicis. And we also have Gertrude Stein coming up. We have Madame Clicquot, which hopefully, if you're in our book club, check that out because we're reading the book about her, which is a fantastic book. But we also have Sylvia Beach coming up. We have another one of my favorites, Joanna Van Gogh, which her story is pretty amazing. So those are all really fun ones coming up.
Yes, and if you want to join the book club, just send me or Claudine a message, and we will add you to the private group. And we have a Zoom call every month to talk about the book, and we just love chatting with you guys. So thank you, and we will talk to you soon. Have a great day, guys. See you.
A bientôt.
A bientôt.